I said to my friend, you have, about 20 days left? So what's going on in school these days? And she said, really, learning has stopped. I walk down the halls and I see so many teachers who are just popping in a movie. And the kids are just kicked back watching movies all the time. Not much learning really going on. I'm Mark Barnes in another edition of the Hack Learning podcast, and we are hacking the end of the school year. We recently had an amazing Hack Learning chat on Twitter, and it was moderated by Jennifer Hogan. And Hogan and some friends of hers are interested in hacking the end of the school year. What they want is for teachers to engage students in meaningful learning until the end of the year, until the last bell. And they have created #LastBell, and this has become a movement on Twitter and on education blogs where teachers are talking about best practices and saying we need to do things that show kids that we value learning throughout the school year, not just in September, not in February or March or when it's test time, but we want to learn for the sake of learning until the last bell. So Jennifer Hogan came on the Hack Learning Twitter chat and she talked about last bell and facilitated an incredible conversation about teaching strategies for amazing learning in May and even into summer break. And this is something that is important that we really want to do in education. We have to tell students and show students that we need to learn all of the time, that school isn't something where we work up for some standardized test and when the test goes, we're finished and we pop in the movie. So in this Twitter chat, we talked about these amazing strategies for engaging learners all the way to the end. And I want to go through 10 of these. And you could find them at #HackLearning and also at hacklearning.org, where we archive the Hack Learning chat and also on our podcast show notes. And this podcast episode at hacklearning.org is called 10 Teaching Strategies for Amazing Learning in May. And we emphasize May because it's the end of the year. So here are a few. Patty Flynn says that she uses Skype to break down the barriers of traditional school. In other words, she and her students share what they're doing across her school district in other buildings so that her colleagues and other students can see what's going on and how kids are continuing to learn even in May. So we're using the power of technology. Skype is really amazing for making learning transparent, for breaking down those walls, for creating what we like to call in hacking education a glass classroom, one that we can look into. Mike Stein joins the Hack Learning conversation, and he talks about autonomy. He is working on a novel unit into May and says when students finish their novels, they're doing some independent reading, they'll create their own projects that somehow relate to them. And he tweets that there are very little guidelines. So the idea is to encourage kids to read. And you think about this life skill, to get kids to read into the summer and all of the time, and to say, I want to know how the books connect to you. So let's think about some project ideas where you can show off what these books mean to you as an individual. That's a tremendous life skill and a great way to engage kids even in May. Connie Hamilton, a Hack Learning author, joins the chat, and she talks about turning goal setting into a project. She knows 2 high school teachers who are organizing what they're calling SWAG. And SWAG is an acronym that stands for Students with a Goal. And they've created projects for elementary students who are doing service activities, and they're learning about budgeting and money and goal setting. So, we talk about goals all the time, which is, of course, important in education. So what Connie and her friends are doing is creating this project that has goal setting built in. So there's nothing more meaningful than that when we talk about engaging kids in May. Brian Rosinski, another educator in the Hack Learning chat, talks about building a class library. Now, we talked about reading and literacy here on the Hack Learning podcast many times, and Gerard Dawson is writing a great book called Hacking Literacy, which is coming out soon in the Hack Learning series. So we value reading, and what Rosinski says is that he has been inspired by Twitter conversations like Hack Learning and others, and he learned about doing book swaps, and he's encouraging students then to bring titles from home, maybe swap them out in class, but also even to donate books and to build a classroom library. Think about how students would engage and how they'll be excited about something at the end of a school year, building something that they can participate in, that they can feel good about, and that also they can push on to students coming in behind them. Another amazing strategy for engaging learning in May is to assemble and celebrate learning. Jonathan Wenstrom in the Hack Learning Twitter chat talks about using a weekly Celebrate Monday assembly to keep students positive and excited. And he shares a great photo that you can see on the podcast page at hacklearning.org with these kids celebrating Monday. And there's a great movement, hashtag Celebrate Monday, that you can find on Twitter as well, where we talk about sort of like exciting learning in May, exciting learning on Mondays, which we all need. Charles Byrne talks about making research fun. Now imagine May coming and you tell your kids, well, we're going to do a research project. A lot of them might grimace. But what he does is he says, let's embrace the research project at the end of the year and get kids excited about it by making it fun. And he's having kids study falcons, and they are doing some research on the falcons. They're creating video and finding video evidence, and then they're developing a position paper. And this sounds like fun, a way to make research fun and an amazing way to continue learning even in May. Another person participating in the Twitter chat, along with Jennifer Hogan, who is one of the co-moderators of hashtag Last Bell, talks about teaching kids finance. She says, we're studying real-world finances, and she says, I'm going to make it feel real for students. I don't think we do enough with teaching finance, and it's something that we should start with kids at a young age, maybe even in the upper elementary school. And when we can connect it back to the real world, that's a really important thing. So, if you told kids in May, hey, we're going to learn about money and create budgets and connect to a real world project, I think that would be fun, and that would make them want to continue learning even in May. Monica Rowland says to turn students into videographers. They're doing a novel project, and she's going to make her students YouTubers, and they are going to post reaction videos. Again, engaging with technology, using Skype, using YouTube, using apps, all kinds of things that continue fun, but also get kids excited about learning, and not mailing it in, not saying, hey, the school year's over. Hack Learning ambassador Angela Gonzalez talks about building a culture of kindness. And she says that students are writing something that we like about each of our classmates, and then she's doing the same for them. And you think about this. This builds a culture of kindness and kids who care for one another to work at the end of the year instead of just saying, hey, let's keep learning about math or science or whatever. She says, let's learn about valuing each other. Is there anything better than that? Jamie Donnelly talks about teaching kids to value the future. And even though there were many more in this great Twitter discussion. I thought this was a marvelous one to end with. Jamie says that they are reinforcing the emphasis on their future by encouraging students to keep going. Go to end-of-year events, to plan into the summer, to think about independent learning, emphasize learning even into the summer when kids are out of school. And I think it's really important that we talk about the future, not just in May, but even at the beginning of the school year. So we're thinking what's ahead this school year, and then as the school year comes to an end, what's ahead this summer, and not just how are we going to kick back and have fun. Of course, we want to do that too, but what are we going to do to continue to cultivate independent learners? So those are 10 amazing strategies for learning in May. And we need to teach to the last bell. Check out hashtag last bell on Twitter and continue the conversation there, and at hashtag Hack Learning. The Hack Learning podcast is a proud member of the Education Podcast Network. Check out all kinds of great shows there, and that is linked at hacklearningpodcast.com. So check out the Education Podcast Network. And thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time.